Coming up this morning on Trending, Benjamin Netanyahu finally admits to the Greater Israel Project. We're going to talk about facial recognition rollouts in the UK, heatwave propaganda, and a rather weird way the police are entrapping people. Good morning and welcome to this morning's episode of Trending. Wherever you're watching us or listening to us, thank you so much for your support. You can head over to Ickonic.com if you're not already a subscriber. There's a bucket load of weekly shows, documentaries, feature-length films. It's $1.99 to subscribe and the link is below. Okay, so let's start. If you embolden people, I've learnt this in life, especially psychopaths, they will actually tell you their nefarious plans in the end. This is from the Times of Israel. Netanyahu says he's on a historic and spiritual mission, also feels a connection to the vision of the Greater Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tells I-24, which I assume is a news outlet and not a Hyundai, he feels he is on a historic and spiritual mission and that he is very attached to the vision of a Greater Israel, which includes areas slated for a future Palestinian state and possibly also areas that are part of present-day Jordan and Egypt. Asked if he feels a connection to this vision of a Greater Israel, Netanyahu says, very much. Said the quiet part out loud at last. Now, when you look, bear in mind, we've been saying this for weeks, months, in fact, years, if I'm honest. If you put up a map of the Greater Israel now, that's Syria. That's the entirety of Lebanon. It's the entirety of Jordan. It's any Palestinian land. It's a nice chunk of Saudi Arabia. It's a nice chunk of Iraq. And it's a nice chunk of Egypt. From the Nile to the Euphrates. So I look at that and I go, well, at least he's being honest for one of the first times, because normally when Benjamin Netanyahu speaks, you know he's lying just by the fact he's speaking. But he's being honest about this at last. Now I go, Israel's got to be the only country, right, on the planet where the Prime Minister, who is actively carrying out a genocide on live TV, can come out and say that he's very much connected to, spiritually, to a mission and a vision of a project that will steal the land of 7 other nations, and no one says anything. No one says anything. But we hear about Putin all the time. So Putin's gone in to the Donbass, and obviously you've got Crimea, and then we're suddenly told he's got visions on Poland, he's got visions on Lithuania and all these other nations. He's actively saying it. No one says a word. But what it is it's more evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that this is what October 7th was all about. And in fact, it's not even that. This is what the state of Israel was always about. When it was formed in 1948, it wasn't formed to be the borders that it is now. It was always meant to expand. It was just a way of finding excuses, buying time to achieve that end. And so with October 7th, which we know now, I mean, we said it at the time, but we know now, beyond any reasonable doubt, that it was allowed to happen. And it was allowed to happen for this very reason, so that they could get public opinion across the world to accept their retaliation. And their retaliation was all about taking Gaza and annexing the West Bank, because that's part of the Greater Israel. Now, they're already occupying areas of Syria, the Golan Heights, which they've expanded even more in the last 2 years. And what's mad about that is you've got Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a psychopath, by the way. He's a complete lunatic, mocking the water shortages in Iran, which are affecting innocent civilians, of course, because the government officials will still find water. That's how it works. He's actively mocking them while having a big jug of water on his desk, water that almost certainly, because such a large percentage of their water supply does, comes from the Golan Heights, which is stolen land that they're occupying illegally, which is part of Syria. It's mad. And everyone looks the other way. Zionism, to me, is an evil ideology. And people go, oh, yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. The reason you think it's bizarre to say that is because it's framed in such a way, particularly over recent years, where what Zionism means is that the Jewish people should have a homeland. Full stop. That's how they frame it. So if you don't agree that a people should be allowed a homeland, well, you're anti-Semitic, you're a racist, not they're a race, but you get called these names. Because they don't include all the stuff that comes after it. Now, you can go into great detail looking into the Zionist project, which is a political ideology, which was only formed in the late 1800s. Like, this isn't an ancient thing, like we're led to believe it is. So it's framed as a homeland for a people, but there's already a people there. So what Zionism is, it isn't a case of, right, there you go, you can have a homeland after the Second World War, so you can be protected. It's, you've got carte blanche to go into a place, steal people's houses, murder with impunity, invade other nations on a whim, starve people to death, murder people repeatedly. It's not just this genocide. You can go back to all the others for the last 80 years. That's what the Zionist project is. It's not about, here's a homeland to keep you protected. That's the sales pitch. I support homeless people being taken off the street. I support homeless people being given a home. What I don't support is homeless people being given your home and your family being murdered and starved and booted out for that homeless person to have your home. There's a difference. But if you oppose that and you go, hang on a minute, this isn't right. So you support homelessness then? No. But that's how they framed it. And the other way that they frame it is with the whole religious aspect of it. But I'm sorry, in 2025, if your argument is because God said, that's not an argument, mate. Did you hear him say it? Oh, I know it's written in text. Is it? Who wrote those texts? You don't even know. But it can be used to justify the slaughter right now of Palestinians. But if he's got a vision of the Greater Israel, well, you think the Lebanese are just going to get up and leave? No. We have to kill and starve them then, aren't you? And what about the Syrians? And what about those in the Sinai area of Egypt? What about those in Iraq? In Saudi Arabia? In Jordan? Entire nation of Jordan? You think they're just going to get up and leave? Oh, yeah, mate. Oh, yeah, don't worry about this. Yeah, this house has been in my family for generations. You can have it. It's not going to happen, mate. So it's going to have to be taken by force, isn't it? And it will be. So that's more bloodshed. And if you can look at what's happening now in Gaza and in the West Bank, where there's no Hamas, by the way, so don't be using that as an excuse. But if you can look at what's going on in Gaza, you can look at what's going on in the West Bank, and then you can look at what will potentially go on in Lebanon and Syria and Iraq and other nations that would have to be swallowed up to fulfill Benjamin Netanyahu's spiritual vision of a greater Israel. If you can look at all that and say, yeah, my God's for that, your God's got issues, mate. And I'll be questioning the validity of that God. In the UK, facial recognition vans to be rolled out, literally I presume, rolled out across police forces in England. I remember when this just appeared in Croydon, pretty sure it was Croydon, South London. Facial recognition is not going to be everywhere. No. It's just in this particular region because it's a real high crime area. There's been a lot of attacks, muggings, rapes. We only want it there. And people go, well, if it's only there and it stops these horrendous acts, then yeah, go for it. That's not what it's about, mate. And that's why now it's going to be rolled out across the nation. And it becomes accepted at that point, and then suddenly it's on every street corner. The police's use of facial recognition technology is to be significantly expanded in an attempt to catch more offenders, ministers have announced. Under the plans, 10 live facial recognition vans will be used by 7 forces across England to help identify sex offenders or people wanted for the most serious crimes, according to Home Secretary Yvette Cooper. This is the same Yvette Cooper that declared Palestine Action a terrorist organisation, having been supported both financially and with trips by the Israel lobby. Now, of course, it's all part of a greater plan to roll out facial recognition absolutely everywhere, where it would then tie into your digital ID, into your social credit score, because it's no good having a digital ID and a social credit score if you can just walk around and do what you want anyway. If you're not allowed to go to a certain area, well, how are they going to stop you? They've got not enough police officers. So you need facial recognition to do that. And this technology is so advanced now that even if you were to wear a mask, they could still recognize you from your eyes and almost certainly from your DNA eventually, if not already. But it's about, obviously it's about building this control system, but this point now is about normalizing it. So you start with one area of high crime, like I said, in Croydon, South London, and then it expands. Once you've accepted it, once you've let the wolf in the door, at that point, it's very difficult for then suddenly to go, oh, no, you're not coming in the lounge. You've let him in the door, mate. He's in the house. And then you let him in the lounge. So let's say these facial recognition vans, only 10 of them. That's the wolf in the lounge now. That's all right. I'm not letting the wolf in the bedroom, though. He's in the lounge, mate. He's in your house. And then something else comes along, and in the end, he's devouring your family, mate, because that's what it's designed to do. The other way they do it is by targeting undesirables. So, of course, we want to stop violent criminals. And, of course, we want to catch sex offenders. So you support it. But ultimately, it's not meant to be used against them. They're the sales pitch. They're what gets, literally, the wolf in the door. And it's the same as the story we spoke about last week about spray painting, this DNA spray paint on football hooligans. No one's got any skin in the game for football hooligans. So you accept it. Yeah, they're wrong uns, football hooligans. I ain't coming out to support football hooligans. So you allow it, but it's not meant for football hooligans. They're what get you to agree to it because you don't like them. If they came out and said, we're going to spray paint DNA spray on all primary school kids, you'd have something to say about it. Football hooligans, spray away, mate. Spray in his eyes. And that's what they do. They use it against the dregs of society, so you accept it. And what people come back with, I hear it all the time. If you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to worry about. But who decides whether you're doing something wrong or not? Because if you get to a point where you're not allowed to go to certain places, shop in certain places, buy certain things because your compliance score isn't high enough, what laws are you breaking? You're still not allowed to do it. And also, what is fine today might not be fine tomorrow. I'm sure there's plenty of things I've probably said on this show that people will go, "Ooh, that's a bit close to the bone." But you said that 10 years ago, people will go, "Yeah, I know." You just move the goalposts. But once you've got the technology in, you can move the goalposts where you want, and you can implement the technology against who you want. Right. Still in England, more propaganda. Why can't we just enjoy the summer, ladies and gentlemen? You're not allowed to enjoy anything. I say it all the time. We're not literally not allowed to enjoy anything. England enters 4th heat wave as temperatures reach 33 degrees. England has entered its 4th heat wave of the summer, with a number of places seeing temperatures higher than 30. Areas in southwest England, southwest Midlands, northwest England, and East Anglia met heat wave criteria. Well, yeah, because you moved the goalposts again. So what would have been a heat wave criteria in 1975 is not the same now. It's everything is the reframing of something, right? Now, this is the reframing of summer, which is mad because summer has existed since the dawn of time. And I throw back to it all of the time, the fact that I'm not someone that doesn't believe in climate change. Climate's change. I don't believe in human-caused climate change. I think it's nonsense. I think the human effect on the climate is negligible at best. That's not to say we shouldn't look after our environment. And you know, we shouldn't look after nature. We shouldn't look after the world we live in. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that environment and climate are not the same thing. You dumping a fridge freezer in a lay-by is not going to affect the weather. It doesn't mean you should do that. Also, 4 heat waves, right? So what you've got, right? You've got the summer where you have a couple of hot days. In England, it's generally only a couple. And then you have a couple of grotty days. Maybe it rains a bit. Maybe you have a storm. It clears the air. You remember those conversations? I remember them as a kid. Ooh, could do with a good storm. Clear the air, right? So you have a couple of days of that. And then the sun comes back. You have another couple of hot days. Oh, it's nice, isn't it? And then normally when you're about to go on holiday somewhere, especially if you're holidaying in England, you have a few grotty days, right? Because that's just how it goes. As soon as you book a holiday, it changes the weather. That I do believe in. That is human-caused climate change. Book a holiday, it will start raining. And then you have another couple of hot days, normally when you go back to work. And so you sit looking out the window going, I've had a week off work and it rained all week. And now I'm back in the office and it's sunny, right? Sod's law. It's always... So what you've got there is a couple of weeks of summer. Hot days, couple of average days, couple of hot days, couple of average days, couple of hot days, couple of rainy days, stormy days, maybe another couple of hot days. That's 4 heat waves now. Totally reframed. And they've been doing it for some time in terms of reframing stuff because they've done the same with storms. In the old days, especially in Britain, you go into the winter and, oh, mate, yeah. It's looking a bit black over there and it's looking a bit stormy. Bit black over Bill's mother's, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think we're going to get a couple of days of storm. Oh, no, that's Storm Desmond now. Oh, you've named it. Yeah, because that's what we do with the tropical storms over the Atlantic and stuff. And so that creates a fear. So we name them. And so here's an old picture. It's another way to do it. Here's an old picture of a weather girl or a weatherman. There's a map of the United Kingdom. He's got his funny little pen in his hand. And he's going, look at that. There's temperatures here. In East Anglia, it's 19 degrees. Here, it's 20 degrees. That was a green map when I was a kid. It's red now. Boiling. 20 degrees ain't boiling. Just putting that out there. Now, I'll move on. But for that, what I'm saying, why they do that, it's about perception. It's about you perceiving things to be different. So, in fact, the weather is no different to how it was when I was a kid. In fact, it's probably a bit more grotty in recent years than when I was a kid. Said it a bunch of times. Flip-flops and a pair of shorts for about 3 months a year on the Isle of Wight, on the beach. That's all we did, kick a football around on the beach. When you got older, bottle of cider and acoustic guitar on the beach. That was summer. But by changing, saying it's a heat wave, saying it's boiling, saying it's sweltering, telling people they need to keep their windows and doors closed, I don't understand that one. And I saw a news article this morning saying that people shouldn't sleep naked when it's hot. I don't know why. I don't know if you know the answer to that. But apparently that's bad now. I don't know why, but it's bad. And then obviously with the changing of the color on the map to red, danger. Red means danger, man. It's in your brain, isn't it? So you see that and suddenly you have a different reaction to it than you would if it was green. And with a storm, oh yeah, it was a bit windy last week, wasn't it? Suddenly becomes Storm Babbitt. If they've named it, it must be bad, right? I mean, Storm Babbitt was windy, but I was on the North Yorkshire coast filming a walking video, right? Do you know what? It was windy and it was noisy and I was getting hit with rain and I was laughing. I was still filming a video. I don't think I'd be filming a walking video on an old railway line during a tropical storm, but there you go. Okay, final story. This one, right? I honestly, I thought it was parody at first. I thought I was watching an episode of Brass Eye. I'll let you watch the video. Go on.
These women aren't friends out for a run. They're actually undercover police officers taking to the streets in Surrey as part of a new operation trying to stop people catcalling and harassing female runners.
We get honked at, the staring, the hanging out of the window just to look at us, and it's so prevalent.
And police teams are ready to intervene the moment the officers are beeped at, followed or shouted at, pulling people over.
Those kind of behaviours may not be criminal offences in themselves, but they still need to be addressed. And of course, the people that are likely to commit those kind of behaviours, they may then go on to commit more serious offences or more serious behaviours.
That's real, that. So those kind of behaviours may not be criminal. They may not be criminal offences, but they still need to be addressed. Imagine the problems that are generally happening in society. And you've got to get to a point where you've got two female police officers going out for a jog to essentially try and entrap some guy who wolf whistles at them. I mean, some people might like being wolf whistled at, might make them feel good, to be honest. Some people might not, and you might just think prat as you run past a building site and someone shouts, "Hey, nice tits." You just think, knobhead. Get on with your life, mate. It's a real first world problem that you've got to send two police officers out to pretend to be joggers so that they can get whistled at or beeped at. I get beeped at all the time. Not because of how I look, by the way. But when I'm out walking, filming walking videos, obviously I've got a handheld camera and I'm always, of course people drive past and beep because they think it's funny. And I laugh most of the time. Sometimes if I'm in the middle of a big historical spiel where I'm trying to remember dates and someone's beeping at me and shouting, "Knobhead," it's a bit annoying. It's not a criminal offence. It doesn't need... I might go out and entrap people then. I'll have a police officer waiting in the car next time I go out and make a walking video. And if someone beeps at me, it's not a criminal offence, but I still think it needs to be addressed. I don't know how people... I mean, the wolf whistling stuff, I'll be honest with you, it's not something I've done. I don't whistle. I'm not very good at whistling, even though I want it to be. I don't whistle at people. I don't shout at people, and I never did even when I was a young lad. And I worked on building sites when I was a young lad. And I'll be honest with you, the lads I worked with didn't either. That's not to say that loads don't, but the lads I worked with were all right. They were mainly like married with kids and, didn't bother with all that nonsense. And it happens, and yeah, it's annoying. But in terms of the issues that we have, particularly in this country, can you deal with the grooming gangs before you deal with someone beeping at a jogger? Is that right? But it creates a fear, and that's why I can't imagine what it must be like to date now. I mean, thankfully, those days are over for me. But do I offer to buy someone a drink? Do I hold a door open for them? I don't know. Do I go up and talk to someone? Unsolicited, essentially. I've gone up and I've invaded their space by talking to them. Do I do that? I don't know. Is it allowed? It must be an absolute minefield. I imagine that's probably why people are on all these apps and stuff now. But it takes the human part out of it. It takes the human interaction out of it. Now, I'll tell you a story, right? I was telling the guys in the office about this a while back. This would be a criminal offence now, right? But I know a lad who walked up to a girl, this is many years ago, walked up to a girl outside of a nightclub and asked her if she wanted to go halves on a bastard. Right? Not a chat line I think I'd use, right? But he said that, and she laughed. She wet herself laughing, thought it was hilarious. They're married with 2 kids now. But that would be a criminal offence. Now, someone might think that's a ridiculous thing to say to someone. It's a horrible thing to say to someone. And a lot of women, I imagine, had he said that to them, would go, I won't swear, or whatever. But she found it funny, and now they're married with 2 kids. Everyone's different, and there's human interactions, but they're trying to take that away. They don't want people to interact with each other, which is another part of a greater plan, which, of course, lockdowns were about as well, normalising staying at home, not not having that human interaction. And not all human interaction will be positive. Some of it's great. Some of it's not. And you just get on with it. You know, that's not to say that, you know, a woman walking on her own in a dark alley, having two blokes following her and saying stuff, that's a very different scenario to what we've seen in that video, which is two people out jogging, someone beeping, someone going, all right. It's not a police matter. Not when there are so many more important things happening in this country that need to be sorted out and need to be dealt with. That's my view anyway. You may disagree. And of course, if you do, please comment below on whatever format you're watching this. Please comment below. And you might, you might think I'm a chauvinistic pig for that opinion. I'd love to hear your take on it. But to me, it's extraordinary. And that quote, those kind of behaviors may not be criminal offenses, but they still need to be addressed. That's very much the same in my mind, coming from the same angle as the lawful but awful stuff. So you're getting done for stuff you're saying, which is perfectly legal. You have a complete legal right to say it, but it's deemed awful, therefore you can get into trouble for it. Well, that's not how the law works. The law is meant to be there. I mean, I know, of course, it's not, but it's meant to be there to protect citizens. So you abide by the law. So if they can then expand the law to basically, yeah, but you've annoyed me, well, where does that end? Well, we know where it ends, and that's probably where it's designed to end. But thank you so much for watching. Like I said at the top, whatever place you're watching this, whether it be on X, on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or watching on Ickonic. And if you'd like to subscribe to Ickonic, it's just $1.99 to sign up. Head over, link below. Loads of documentaries, films, weekly shows, and loads more coming up as well. And thank you so much for your support. I'll be back tomorrow with Richard Willett in person, actually, which I think might be the first or maybe just the second time we've ever done it together in person. So that should be fun. And I'll see you then.